Qatar.
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 Football fans around the world have their eyes on Qatar.
Number 1. The 2022 Qatar World Cup is the most expensive ever. On Sunday, the host Qatar and Ecuador squared off in the FIFA World Cup opening game. In the 12 years after it was awarded the hosting rights to the event, the small gas-rich country has invested $300 billion in preparation. The capital of Doha has changed, and it's now dotted with new hotels and stadiums that can accommodate over 1 million spectators throughout the approaching month. The event, which is the first World Cup to be staged in the Middle East, is in many ways the realization of the region's lofty sporting goals. Major European football clubs have received billions of cash from Qatar and its affluent neighbors. 4 Formula One races will be held in the area next year, and the Live Tour, sponsored by Saudi Arabia, seeks to rule professional golf. Qatar 2022 has been surrounded by controversy and is a tournament of many firsts. Concerns have been raised about Qatar's history of adopting laws that restrict the rights of women and LGBTQ persons, as well as how it treats migrant workers. The government's claim that it would host a World Cup with no carbon emissions has been proven false. A last-minute change to the schedule added to the disruption caused by leaving the traditional summertime slot. Number 2. The FIFA World Cup 2022 will be the last World Cup hosting 32 teams. The following World Cup will feature 48 teams. Overall, the event is still anticipated to bring in record money for the FIFA organization and surpass the nearly $5.4 billion that the 2018 World Cup in Russia brought for the sport's governing body. 3.6 billion people watched the previous World Cup, and billions are expected to watch this one. Cash, cash, cash. There will be more games, 80 instead of the current 64, which will need sponsors and broadcasters to increase their fees and match day revenue, like ticket sales, which all go to FIFA. FIFA doesn't spend much at tournaments because the hosts cover the expenses. Then they make enormous profits. FIFA made almost $6.1 billion from Russia in 2018. An extra week will be added to the event, which will irritate players' clubs' managers everywhere before the start of the domestic season. We must have them back immediately. Players are more likely to sustain injuries and miss time when they return. Will 5 weeks be enough time for the supporters to pay attention? It works perfectly with 32 teams, 64 games, and 4 weeks. Since there are now just 3 teams in each group, FIFA's regulation requiring that group final games be played simultaneously, following the West Germany-Austria disaster of 1982, is no longer conceivable. The teams in the last round could arrange a draw, since that they both advance while leaving the other team powerless. To solve this issue, FIFA has suggested that each group stage match that ends in a tie would proceed to a penalty shootout straight after 90 minutes. Number 3. The logo for the 2022 FIFA World Cup is a ribbon symbolizing infinity and harmony. As old as the World Cup itself is the official logo for the Qatar edition. The logo features numerous images, all of which together express a significant message to the globe. According to the organizers, the logo primarily represents the rich Arabic culture and the symbolic significance of lifestyle. The sweeping arts of the insignia stand in for Qatar's perpetual dunes, which are unaffected by environmental or other conditions. 2 different messages are conveyed by the central logo, which resembles an 8. The first thing it reveals is the 8 stadiums that will host this spectacular. The 8 sign is also an infinity sign, which represents the interconnectedness of the universe and the ambiguity of existence itself. There is also a hint of the woolen shawl, a traditional garment of Qatar. Shawls are worn in Qatar, where the World Cup is being held concurrently with winter. Number 4. The most expensive player in the World Cup 2022 is Kylian Mbappe, according to the transfer market. The second most valuable player in the world right now is a 23-year-old French striker for Paris Saint-Germain, after Erling Haaland. Mbappe, who is seen as Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo's replacement, has been long one of the most entertaining players in the game. In addition, he is the second youngest player to have ever scored in a World Cup final, behind only Pelé, who is regarded as the greatest footballer to have ever lived. Will he guide France to their second consecutive victory in the most esteemed football competition? Number 5. Germany's Youssoufa Moukoko will be the youngest player in the FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar. Youssoufa Moukoko, a teenage prodigy from Germany, was the youngest player to compete in the World Cup in Qatar. Moukoko, who turned 18 on November 20th, entered the game as a substitute during Wednesday's 1-2 loss to Japan. After former player Uwe Seeler, Moukoko became the youngest German to play in a World Cup, surpassing Jamal Musiala, who started at the Khalifa International Stadium. The Borussia Dortmund forward overtakes Christian Eriksen of Denmark to become the second youngest European to play in the World Cup. It's just the start of a dazzling and successful international career. career. Given Germany's lack of depth at the striker position, it's reasonable to assume that he will play a larger role in Germany's upcoming matches in the tournament. Should Hansi Flick give him the opportunity, this would be a good platform for the young striker to establish his dominance in the position. Number 6. For the first time in history, there will be female referees at the FIFA World Cup 2022. The FIFA Men's World Cup will have female referees for the first time in history. Learn everything there is to know about the 36 referees selected for the competition, including Stephanie Frappart, Salima Mukansanga, and Yamashita Yoshimi. Yamashita Yoshimi. She's a Japanese official who officiated in the 2019 Women's World Cup in France and will take part in the 2019 Women's FIFA World Cup, making history in the process. Additionally, she officiated a match between Sweden and the United States at the 2020 Olympic Games, which were held in 2021. She claimed that there aren't enough female referees in the Middle East and that the World Cup in Qatar might act as a catalyst to change that. The fact that women are serving as referees in a FIFA Men's World Cup is a message to other people that women's potential is always growing, Yoshimi continued. She claimed that she has strong feelings about it. Salima Mukansanga. Salima Mukansanga of Rwanda has been serving as a FIFA World Cup referee since 2012. When she was younger, Mukansanga had an ambition of being a professional basketball player. She once mentioned that access to basketball infrastructure was difficult, despite the fact that she liked basketball and wanted to take it seriously. She admitted she never regretted how she came to end up refereeing. Mukansanga attended the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and the 2019 Women's World Cup and is currently in Qatar thanks to it. She stated that working at the 2019 Women's World Cup is every referee's dream after being named as an official. Stephanie Frappart. Frappart, 38, has an incredible achievement to add to her resume. In her maiden World Cup final in France in 2019, she assumed control. She officiated at the UEFA Super Cup final the same year, while continuing to pursue her passions. By officiating the first Men's Champions League match as a woman referee in 2020, Frappart made history. She claimed that FIFA and the authorities are sending a clear message by using female referees. Frappart also thought that by making this choice, things would change for women. Number 7. New technology will make ruling and officiating more accurate and faster. 3D rendering and semi-automatic offside technology in order to make difficult offside decisions more quickly than ever before. New semi-automatic offside technology will be used, and a 3D animated render of the action will be presented in the stadiums and for fans at home. A sensor inside the match ball will send data to the VAR operations room 500 times per second to allow a highly accurate assessment of when the pass was played. 12 cameras in each stadium will track 29 points on the body of each player. The new technology has already been tested at 2 FIFA competitions and in exhibition games at every World Cup site. FIFA's Director of Technology and Innovation, Johannes Hausmüller, stated that after analyzing the data, the results were extremely positive. It's now the most precise supportive offside instrument. The prior offside technology, according to Hausmüller, would be available in Qatar but only as a backup. And number 8, only fans vaccinated for coronavirus will be allowed to attend the FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar. Next year's World Cup in Qatar will only be accessible to those who have received the full COVID-19 vaccination, and the country is in negotiations to get 1 million doses in case global immunization efforts lag. Even though the majority of nations were anticipated to have immunized their citizens by then, Qatar was still taking precautions to ensure a successful event. According to Prime Minister Sheikh Khalid bin Khalifa bin Abdulaziz Al Thani, he stated, without naming the business, "We are currently negotiating with the company to deliver 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccinations in order to immunize and vaccinate some of the people going to Qatar." Officials from Qatar previously stated that they hope to host a tournament free of the coronavirus and that they intended to provide vaccinations to participants who had not already received them.